Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. It's really amazing how people will so vehemently defend the globe, and that in itself is just, it tells you that they are defending a dearly held belief. A belief that's kind of put together with just explanations. People demand a working model. Talked about this before. It gets boring. It's just like, you know, what's your model? What is the model? Nothing changes apart from your perception or the understanding that everything we've been told about the heliocentric globe model are just compartmentalized little explanations. You know, this is and calculations. Why can't people understand the difference between a physical measurement and a calculation? And the fact that you can make calculations based on a model, but that doesn't compensate for measurements, physical measurements, yeah? And, you know, people go on about angular size and stuff. It's really simple, it's really simple. It's so simple. Yeah, but I mean, okay, understandable that like anyone who is a flat earther understands that, of course, he went through a process of having to examine all these different compartmentalized explanations that we're given for the globe Earth belief, and realize bit by bit that those explanations are just choice interpretations that are kind of cobbled together to fit this, you know, desire to have a working model. So what is this working model? I ask people, say, well, give us a working model of the flat Earth. Well, that's okay. Well, what's your working model of the globe Earth? It doesn't actually work. There's nothing different to, you know, you getting up in the morning and you're on an Earth that's not spinning, and you look around and you use perspective. And you look out and then you look at the stars, and of course that's the thing. The whole model, the globe Earth model, is a way to try and describe our place in space, and try and answer that. And this is why people hold on to it so dearly as a belief, because it is like a religion that tries to have a creation story. It tries to tell you who you are, where you are, how we all came to be here, etc., etc. Yeah, by apparently giving us this model of our place in the universe. Yeah, which is just another explanation, or that is no different to any other creation story. Yeah. We all know that there's a kind of esoteric, there are unanswerable questions you can't answer about the origins of this place, you know. I remember asking when I was a kid, you know, or I was told that, oh, space is infinite. And I spent the next few weeks or something trying to wrap my head around that, you know. And so you can't, you get to a point where you just have to accept the limitations of our knowledge. And this is it, when you think about the difference between knowledge and, I mean, there are people who will defend the globe and really, you know, hate any idea of the flat Earth, defend the globe, saying, we know, because of science, that the sun is 93 million miles away. No, you don't know that. Nobody knows that. There is not one person who can confirm that. And the only reason that's done is because of the model, putting the Earth at the center. Putting the sun at the center. That's the model. Having the sun at the center and then building it all around that. Yeah? Hang on, I've got to get some diesel here. Where should I pull up? Over there. All right. It's all, there's no self-service here in Thailand. You have to, they do it all for you. สวัสดีครับ ดีเซล200 บาทครับ เดี๋ยวนะไอหาไม่เจอแป๊บนึง มันอยู่ไหน ที่เปิดฝาอยู่ไหน
ดูแถวนี้มีไหม
อ๋อใช่ป่ะโอเค I couldn't find the petrol or the diesel lever. It's a borrowed car, so yeah. Models. Yeah. So I mean, don't you understand? I mean, if you really think, just think about it. It's so simple. Yeah. I mean, there are many models. Yeah, that you can have that attempt to illustrate. Welcome, cab. That attempt to illustrate our you know, what do? They you know, you mark the passage of time of the stars, and the whole thing, the models are based on, you know, yeah, like I said, where are we in the universe? How can we make this connection to our place in space by looking at the sun, moon, and stars? Yeah, so we see the sun and the moon and the stars moving. I mean, the fact that people can't, I mean, I get asked this question, you know, well, how come? I mean, it's you on in the northern hemisphere you see the moon one way, and then in the southern hemisphere you see it upside down. It's like, do you not have the mental capacity or the ability to even try and think? And all you got to do is, you know, stick a picture on your ceiling or on your on the floor even, and then stand on one side of your flat floored room, look up and see that the moon looks one way, and then you go across to the opposite side of the room and see that it bollocks, I wanted to do a U-turn here, never mind. Stand on the other side of the room and well, the picture is now upside down, according to, you know, these are, you don't need to be on a globe. In fact, this is it, you know, there is absolutely nothing at all about any of the observations we make. Again, I've got to keep emphasizing it, that the entire globe model is created by looking up into the sky, interpreting observations of the sun, moon, and stars. It's no curvature has ever been measured on the surface of the earth. But this is why you've got people arguing about all these different little what they call proofs, and they're not proofs, they're not measurements, they are interpretations. And you can make calculations, yeah? Measurements and calculations are different. So you can make a calculation and an interpretation, yeah? But what drives me nuts is the fact that this is all based on observations. And when we observe something, then perspective it governs your observation. Just like the cars in front of me appear to get smaller and smaller, and the electricity pylons appear to get lower and lower because of perspective. Yeah? But then when we look at the sun, moon, and stars, oh no, ignore perspective, and it's because you're moving on a spherical surface. It's just an interpretation, one choice interpretation, one of many possible interpretations. Yeah? But there is absolutely no reason for the earth to be a spinning ball, apart from the fact that there was a decision to put the sun, imagine that the sun is at the center of it all. Just, okay, we could be, and consider us as another planet. And it's understandable that it's very difficult to detach from this idea that the earth is another planet, because that's what we've been told since we were kids. You know, Mars, the moon, and all that. And okay, you look up and you see Jupiter or something with moons going around it. And so yes, you can make the assumption that the moon that we see is doing the same thing. So you can model it on that assumption. But this is, and this is why there's such a, oops, hang on a minute. Still recording? Yeah. Oh dear, hang on, I have to, such a desire to explain gravity, to have this, and this is why the numbers are so important. The numbers are so important to the mathematicians, because when you have a number, you have a constant. It's, you know, it's like trying to work out the lengths and angles of a triangle, for example. Yeah, you need to know at least a couple of the sides or the angles before you can do the rest. Yeah, so this is why having this constant rate of acceleration when you drop a mass through the air was such a defining moment for the globe. Yeah, because all it does, it doesn't prove anything. It's, you know, all it does is give the mathematicians a constant to which, and so they can expand and extrapolate on their model, and then they can say, well, that's because the Earth has a specific mass, and it's handy to have the Earth being a specific mass as a sphere, isn't it? Because then everything's rounded off. So just try this little thought experiment. Imagine the Earth is a cube with rounded corners, if you like. You know, as soon as you get that in your head and you try to imagine going around a cube, then you start to see that there are points where you would fall off, and then, you know what I really hate? I really hate this argument where they have a flat disk Earth, and they tell you that the closer you get to the edge, the more difficult it would be because of to move and walk and stuff because of gravity. Assuming, again, you know, expanding on this idea, this assumption that it's the Earth's specific mass which creates weight for anything on the Earth. It's insane. It's just a thought experiment off a thought experiment, and I just, it's not based on any kind of reality at all. But you've got these people that will say that is a fact. It's a fact that the Earth's mass, and what are they basing it on? A fucking Cavendish experiment that was done, you know, however long ago it was. It's 2018 and people are relying on these hundreds of years old experiments which don't prove anything, but they've just been repeated and repeated and repeated and stuffed into our heads at school and stuff, and told that's because you live on a sphere, and the only way you can live on a sphere is because you've got to have them, because you know that otherwise you'd fall off. So you've got to put it in your head that there's this force, magical force, and all it is a conversion of weight. We're not sticking to the Earth, and it just drives me nuts. It really does. When they literally tell you that gravity is relative to your mass. Well, yeah, it's just the weight. It is just the weight in the medium of air. Relative density. If people ask you to prove that it's relative density, there's no need to prove anything. That's just what it is. Anything aside from that, anything that goes beyond that, is attempting to, as I said, create this connection between what we see and experience on the earth to what we see in the sky, in the stars. And it all has to be assumptions. You all have to assume that, oh, it's just, and it's not, that's not physics. That is not physics. That's calculations and assumptions and theories. I mean, God, imagine having a job in theoretical physics, which is great if you're allowed to sit there and imagine, think stuff up and imagine stuff. It's brilliant. What a brilliant job. You get paid to just sit around and think about stuff and go, whoa, it could be like this and blah, blah, blah. God. So you go ahead, all you people doing your hit pieces and getting angry and mad just because, we do something like point out perspective, yeah? Because it's just obvious that you get it. You understand what the problem is. You understand that we are given a side-on orthographic view of a spherical Earth, but that's only because from the observer's perspective, then it's basically, yeah, perspective is the imaginary curve. They turn these diagonal lines that you get of perspective into a curved. It's so simple. But that's the thing, you'll do anything to defend it. Horizon doesn't rise to eye level. Yes, it does. Get over it. The horizon is not a curve. Of course, that's why, the whole, people go using the curve calculator and stuff like that. Forget the curve calculator. The curve calculator is just some imaginary tool for an imaginary model. Yeah? And of course, the whole globe Earth depends on being able to calculate at distances with a side-on view. Of course, it all works in the model. You can model something down to the millimeter with a sphere and tangent lines on paper. Yeah, but you've got this two-dimensional view, orthographic view on paper that literally takes perspective and turns it into a curve. It's not rocket science, and it doesn't have to be. Yeah? It really doesn't have to be, because people will have a lot of difficulty with the simple stuff. We're accepting that there's a limit to our understanding, right? Or a limit to our knowledge. Yeah? Deal with it. Like I said, you have to. At one point when we were kids, we had to deal with the realization that nobody knows the limits of space. Yeah? We had to internally deal with that there is a limit to our knowledge. So then what? What's the rest of the journey about? Well, whatever your vocation is, your passion, your thing in life, then that's what you do. That's your path, your journey. It certainly doesn't have to be defined by some mathematician telling you that you, because they can draw a circle with a tangent line, that makes that has anything to do with your place in space, in the universe. And that's why gravity and these heroes of science are godlike figures. They've been given godlike status because they appear to have the answers to life, the universe, and everything. So working models, schmodels. There's no need. It is what it is. The sun, the moon, and stars do what they do. They have to. They got a job to do, just like we've got jobs to do. and they you know, they provide light and heat and what have you. Anyway, rant over. Thank you very much indeed.